Hey guys, it's Bridget with Sanity Seed Company, and we are here in our Ramona farm looking at our beautiful Benary's mix zinnias. As you probably know, because you'll see a lot of flowers in my Instagram and in our newsletter, we're doing a lot of work regarding growing flowers in zone 9 and 10. We want to get as much information as possible so that you can be successful at growing either garden flowers or cut flowers in zone 9 and 10. There's so many things that we've learned this year and in past years about growing flowers. Zinnias are obviously one of the summer superstars, I would say. They love heat. So these were actually planted out on April 7th. I know that because my sign says so. We started them from seed and transplanted them out. And I will say for the first couple of weeks, they didn't do a lot because we were still pretty cool here in Ramona in April. As soon as it starts to warm up, we see a burst in blooms and in plant growth. It's really incredible. And the reason why we're growing this particular variety is Benary's mix is supposed to have good powdery mildew resistance. If you're growing in Southern California, you know powdery mildew is always an issue. And even for us in East County where it's a lot hotter, we still get powdery mildew on the farm. So we're trialing these for that resistance and also just to see how well they grow in our very, very hot summers. It's only it's 75 right now and gorgeous. And we're gonna be 75 for next couple days and then boom, it's just gonna get hotter and hotter. It happens every year. Are these going to be able to keep up with that? We're hopeful, but we don't necessarily know. Look at this. Love this salmony color. This is so beautiful. So the wonderful thing about zinnias is they are relatively easy to grow, keeping in with the caveat that they like heat. So if you try to grow these in the cool season, they're not going to thrive. Planting them by seed, either directly in the ground or by transplant, which is what we did here. I start them, anytime. You can do February, March, plant them out into the garden around April, and then they're really going to take off when the heat starts to thrive. We did top these or pinch these, and we did that because it gives us more branching. And what that basically means is when these guys were little, we came in, and you can actually see right here the original pinch. So we came in, and we pinch them when they're really tiny because that told the plant, hey, grow lots of side shoots. So instead of having one super erect plant with one bloom on it, we pinch them when they were little. And it's important to do it when they're little because you don't want to waste energy when they're big. Do it when they're tiny, and you literally, we call it pinching because we just do it with our fingers. We pinched it, and then now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 side shoots that are coming off of this plant that's going to make it more balanced, less likely to fall over, more blooms. It just makes for a healthier plant in general when we're looking for lots and lots of blooms. The other thing that's really nice is then we can get longer stems. We can actually, instead of me harvesting right here, I'm going to harvest way down here like this. And then I'm going to get a much longer stem. I know I sacrificed this guy, but it's okay because look, I have this one and this one that's going to shoot up and get much longer and give me a nice long bloom that I can use in an arrangement. Zinnias are like any flower. If you're growing them for cut flowers, you want to prune and actually harvest from them often. The more you harvest, the more flowers you're going to get because you're doing two things. You're deadheading, so you're getting rid of flowers that are spent, that are taking up energy to make seed. And if your goal isn't to save seed, then get those off the plant because they're taking energy from giving you more flowers. And when you're harvesting beautiful flowers that are just like these that are ready to go into an arrangement, I'm also taking off energy so that it can put it into all of the others. Now, when I'm growing something like this, I always look at the energy output. These guys are there's a lot of flowers coming. I mean, literally when I'm just sitting here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 potential blooms coming on to this plant. So I take that into consideration for when and how I fertilize. We fertilize when we plant. So we're telling the plant, hey, here's some food to get you growing, to be happy. We use an organic granular fertilizer. It's like stocking the pantry. It's available to the plant when the plant needs it. And then throughout the season, we will give it a liquid fertilizer, which is like taking a protein drink, you know, drinking it after the gym. It's immediate replenishment for these plants that need it because they're putting out a lot of energy. We already did one fish emulsion application to these, and then we'll probably do another, potentially even a third. We just have to look throughout the season and see how they're doing and how the blooms look. So let's talk a little bit about disease and pests. So as I mentioned, these are powdery mildew resistant. We're trialing them to really figure out if that is as true as they say. But zinnias in general can succumb to powdery mildew. How do you try to prevent that if you're growing a variety that is really susceptible? First, make sure you prune. A pruned plant, especially the way that we harvest it, like coming down and harvesting deep, is opening up this area of the plant so there's not a bunch of condensed foliage, which can hold on to moisture and stop airflow, which is a conducive environment to growing any fungus, and also harboring a lot of pests. So pruning often, opening them up, cleaning off any dead matter really will help these plants thrive. The other part of any good integrated pest management process with any crop, vegetable or flower, is growing them in their ideal conditions. You'll notice if you plant zinnias too early in zone 9 and 10, they are way worse for wear because it's too cold, too wet. Same thing goes if you plant them way too late. Now zinnias can be grown well into October and November in zone 9 and 10, but if you were to try to plant maybe in November, the conditions in January, December are not going to be favorable to what this plant likes. They like heat, plenty of good airflow, so pruning, and full sun. You'll notice here, take a look around, there is nothing shading my zinnias. They are in full sun. And that's going to help them photosynthesize as much as they need to have as much energy so that they can really thrive and put out tons of blooms for you. Let's say your zinnias have a bunch of powdery mildew on it. Would you use a spray, and if so, what could you use? Well, I always try to prevent an issue before it becomes, detrimental to the plant for several reasons. One, I don't want to spray anything because I don't want to buy the product. It's expensive, especially as big as our farm is. We need large quantities of stuff. Also, how effective is it going to be? It's kind of like, if you get really sick and you have like the flu, okay, vitamin C is going to help. But is it going to make the flu go away? Absolutely not. If you see powdery mildew on your zinnias, there's a couple different things you can do. You can prune it off, literally. The same thing like you do with on your cucumbers or your zucchini. You can actually come in, and these guys look beautiful. We have no powdery mildew, but let's say we did. We can come in and actually just prune off the parts that have powdery mildew on it, and then these need to get thrown away. That's really important. Don't put them in your compost. Your compost may or may not get hot enough, but why chance it? Just put it in a little bucket, take it to the trash when you're done with it, and make sure you clean your pruners afterwards. Then ask yourself, why are my zinnias getting it? Are they in full sun? Am I overhead watering? Big no-no. Water at the soil level. Am I giving them lots of airflow by coming in and pruning? Other things that can be a problem. Is it close to a lawn where the lawn is spraying them and they're getting wet and you don't even know? Other things that can be out of your control is the timing. Like if you plant these too early, for example, if you plant these in April on the coast, that might be a little too early because you have May gray, June gloom, sometimes you have no sky July. So you have to plant them a lot later knowing that they love heat. So plant them in a time of the season where they can bask in the heat and the full sun and really grow to their full potential.